The more that we purify the mind through constant God remembrance, we'll perceive those God thoughts, and we'll follow them, and our lives will be transformed. Good morning, everyone. Well, we've got some themes this morning. Enthusiasm and willingness is one, and faith, and good and evil, which we'll dive into, the darkness and the light. A lot of things to apply to our own life. So when I was tuning into this topic a couple weeks ago, and then throughout the week, I was noticing how nothing was coming up for me initially, and I realized it's because I was actually having the experience of the reading. I was not, open and in tune to receive what it was because it was staring right at me. To explain, I was tuning into, well, what am I supposed to do? And I don't really feel like giving another talk. The ego thoughts coming up, and then I realized in the reading, whatever unwillingness that there is, offering that up to the light, I was like, oh, I see. This is my lesson, in doing it. And then reflecting, like when we have these opportunities to be a representative of the guru, or to attend a group meditation or a seclusion, these are opportunities where we put ourselves into a position for God to work through us, and where we stretch ourselves, and there's going to be unwillingness to that. It was funny to see I was the last one, to get the message. Anyway, I wanted to share a little bit about this. I'm not much of a joke teller in the classic sense, but I think that's because my life in some ways is a joke, and I thought, well, I got lots of material, so. So when I first came to Ananda, came to the path even, and I think many of us experience this, where we have beginner's luck, or in Zen they call it beginner's mind, where you have these experiences that come spontaneously. I remember when I was 17 and I started meditating, I used to sit down, and like clockwork, at about 30 minutes, I just was in such peace, such bliss. And I thought, wow, meditation is great, and so easy. It was just, it was effortless. And then, of course, what I experienced along the way is what Master calls the discipline that earns his grace. And, the next year, after my first year of meditation, noticing, I'm more restless, or I had years where falling asleep every minute, years, This is 10 years later. I feel in some ways that I'm just starting to touch back in on some of those experiences that I had. I remember listening to Nayaswami Asha, and it was very encouraging because she said, her interpretation of that is that when we first come onto the path, we have almost like these are my words, like a annuity or a slush fund from our previous incarnation, where we put out all this energy and we had a lot of discipline and we meditated and we applied ourselves. And then God gives us this little slush fund initially to get us to realize, oh, this could be for me. This could be the answer for me. And then we spend it all. We don't add to the bank. And that was my case. So when I came to Ananda, here I was given this experience in meditation. I remember telling Badri when I got to the village, is there going to be enough meditation at this program? Do you guys, I'm used to meditating a long time, and you'll be fine, I'm sure. And he actually was careful enough in saying, there's even 3-hour meditations on Saturday mornings at the Shrine of the Masters. And I thought, 3 hours, okay. They do meditate there, And and then, coming onto this path and getting Kriya, and one of the things that came to me, this saying, it's from the Bible, but it was made popular by Abraham Lincoln, our great yogi president. He said, a house divided. And that kept coming to me this week. And I realized in many ways how we come to the path and we approach life, we're a house divided, where we have a part of ourselves that knows what we want. We want to seek God. We want to be the change for good in the world. And then we have all these things that we also want to do that aren't God alone. When I first came, these are the jokes. This is my life is the joke. Oh my gosh. When I first started at Ananda, I was still a kid. I grew up at Ananda almost, 18, 19, 20, 21, 20. Those first years, Steve and I used to work late at East West Bookshop in Seattle. And we would close up and we'd look at each other greedily, at around 8:45. And we would call into the Rain City Burgers across the street and get veggie burgers and fries, and then we'd get a milkshake. And, or there was one time where it was like 11 o'clock, and we found a place that had a pizza restaurant open, and we got a pizza at midnight, and then I think, wow, why am I so unwilling to go to meditation in the morning, There's this conflict, this back and forth, this part of ourselves that we want God and then we don't want God, And it takes time. It takes time, and it takes the grace of the masters to choose God. I can't say that I stressed myself out about trying to be better, or I used to not give myself enough time for meditation in the morning, probably because of the 12 a.m. pizza, and I would delude myself into doing kriyas in the car. So I would do my kriya meditation on the drive down to East West, and I was like, and why does this feel so unstable? We just live this way. We are divided against ourselves. We are our own worst enemy. And like I said, I can't say that I have a lot of credit in, this is 10 years later. But I just find more and more that these soul citizens, like Master said, these little beings that are inside of our consciousness, more of them have started coming to God's temple, And the things that, that used to just hold me up, like buffets and things like that, that's my big thing. That's Bhima's big thing in the Mahabharata, as Murli knows. But they don't have that attraction anymore. And I can't say, who can say where that goes? It's God. It's God that does it. And we stick with it, that discipline. We're going to read one of Master's most beautiful poems, When I'm Only a Dream, to end the talk. And Master says, and the discipline that earns his grace. We don't have a lot of credit for this transformation. It is God. It's mostly God. If we think about the oft-quoted 25% is our own effort, 25% the guru, 50% God's grace, that 25% really looks like us showing up and trying our best. It looks like putting ourselves into the position to receive God's grace. If you could have years and years of missing the point spiritually, but if you get yourself a retreat, just sign yourself up for a weekend or a day of seclusion. Put yourself into position for success. Don't put it all on yourself, on this little ego to fix itself. It's not going to. It doesn't want to. Put ourselves into position for God's grace to make it a natural process. That's what Krishna speaks to in this Bhagavad Gita selection, is this directional path. Okay, so you can't perceive the divine light at the forehead throughout the day. Oh, I'm so sorry that you can't do that. But meditate and develop and try to do that. If you can't do that, japa, worship throughout the day. See every form and pray to God. Make that unceasing. Oh, you can't do that. Okay. Well, do some good work in the world that's God-centered, that's in service to mankind. That is purifying. Krishna gives us everything we need. Eventually, if we follow some of these, follow this advice, it purifies. Service purifies the physical bad karma. It purifies the body. Japa and God remembrance purifies the mind. This path of yoga is directional. We can start it from wherever we are. For many of us, we start from rock bottom, don't we? That was certainly the case for me, which I won't get into, because that wouldn't be a joke anymore. So there was a selection from Conversations with Yogananda that came into my mind, the words from Master, and I looked it up. It's number 314. Swami writes, Reverend Bernard told me something from which others struggling toward inner victory might find encouragement, or from which others might find encouragement. The master once said to me, "I don't ask you to overcome delusion. All I ask is that you resist it." All that he asks from us is to have that inside of our hearts. No, this is not what I want. This is not what I want. Don't to give in to it completely. If you find yourself with a 12 a.m. pizza run, I've been there, I know. There's a part of you that has the choice to not give in to it, to not accept that as your full reality, to bring God into that, to not do violence to ourselves if we're not where we think we should be. Someday we will all be where we think we should be. And we won't think that way. We won't think, this is where I thought I should be. It would be God. It's just God. That's all we'll be filled with. We won't even remember where we were to begin with. He doesn't ask us to overcome. That, we need God's help to overcome. 100%, we need God's help to do that. That we resist. We put ourselves into the position where God can help us. Mentally, physically, spiritually. Another part that I wanted to touch on is from the reading, every state of consciousness has its own attractive power. Swami defines faith as being the attractive power of our own underlying state of consciousness. And what that means to me is that whatever we have our mind on, we get more of, in a sense, the law of magnetism. So what happens when we forget to put our mind on God, we could be on YouTube or Facebook, and we'll see a post of Master or a video from Ananda, and scroll right by it, Scroll. I mean, how many I won't ask you to raise hands, but I know how many times that we know what we should be doing. We know where our mind should be, and it's painful, isn't it? When our mind and our spirit is not in tune with God, it's painful to put on a video about God or a video of meditation because we're not in that vibration. We're not in attunement with it. So we have to find the way to get our mind into attunement with God so that we're receptive to his inspiration. There's a wonderful story that I want to share from my wife, Bhakti. I was asking her, do you have any stories about this? Because I had nothing, And she shares this story about, she was in San Francisco at a train station, and it was the middle of the night. I was like, what were you doing there? She said, I don't even remember anymore. And so she's on this train, this rickety train, and she's hearing this squeaking sound. And she's thinking, this is just not where I want to be. She's resisting the moment. And then she says, well, it kind of sounds a little bit like Om. And then she started to tune into it as being, well, what if this is from God? This is the choice we all have to approach our life as if it's coming from God, because it is God. And she started to have this image of Lahiri, Mahashai, here on the end, floating up at the ceiling of in her mind, in her imagination, using the imagination. And then she just was filled with so much joy from this sound and from being on this rickety middle-of-the-night train ride, going from fear and annoyance into something that reminds us of God. This is what Swami was talking about, this enthusiasm and willingness to, life is going to give us curveballs, and it's going to give us these things that on the outside, and 98% of people will agree, are not good. But it's all from God. This whole universe, this whole creation is God's manifestation. Every single thing comes from God. So why any exceptions with that? And so we see that this willingness to see God in everything gives us the experience of God in everything. On this note, this week, Ethan and I were tuning into the new path with some new Kriya students at the community, and we were talking along this line, and he just whipped out the book and had the exact reading for it, and I thought, we have to share this. So this is when, for some context, this is when Swami was in his early 20s, and he was trying to figure out the meaning of life, and he went for a long walk one day and contemplating consciousness and God, and and what could God be? And so he writes here, okay. Well, here we go. We'll start at the beginning. I recalled the days I had spent watching the ocean surf break into long, restless fingers among the rocks and pebbles on the shore. The width of each opening, I reflected, determined the size of the flow. Similarly, if our deepest reality is God, might it not be possible for us to chip away at our granite resistance to him and thereby widen our channels of receptivity? And would not every aspect of his infinite consciousness flow into us then, like the ocean, abundantly? If this was true, then obviously our highest duty is to seek attunement with him. And the way to do so is to develop that aspect of our nature which we can open to him. The way to do that, obviously, is to lift our hearts up to him and to seek his guidance in every thought and deed. In doing so, he must, since we are a part of his consciousness, assist us in our efforts to broaden our mental channels. So he gives us that wonderful guidance. And I'll repeat the part here. Our highest duty is to seek attunement with him. To do that, we develop that aspect of our nature which can be open to him. We start from where we are. Yeah, and if it is at the 12 a.m. pizza, we enjoy it with God, you know? We bring God into those areas, into those shadows of our lives. And any inadequacy that we perceive in ourselves, we offer it up to him. God, you created this body. You created this world with all these things that tempt me constantly. Make thyself more tempting. Lift our hearts, then, up to him and seek guidance in every thought and deed. Doing that throughout the day. We can't just, it's not enough to start and end the day with God. It's a start for sure, but we have to fill every moment with God. We have to begin by dedicating every action that we have to God, offering it up, the meal, which we do at Ananda. We sing our blessing song, you know, but starting on your car trip, that's a start. But every minute, God, God, God. God, Christ, Guru. Find that mantra. Master called it in his Yogoda lessons, mantra yoga. And he said, find words that resonate with you, where we can open and widen that receptivity to him. And Master talks to us too. God talks to us through our conscience. Another topic we had this week was how God speaks to us in dreams. And through the subconscious, there are messages that come through even when we're not conscious, but especially what we have more control over is our conscious waking life. And God speaks to us initially through our conscience. We know what is right and wrong, and it's obscured. It's like mud on a beautiful golden statue. We have to uncover and purify to hear that guidance, but it's there. Just because we can't perceive it doesn't mean it's there. The more that we purify the mind through constant God remembrance, we'll perceive those God thoughts, and we'll follow them, and our lives will be transformed. And then we will know that we don't take any credit for that because we simply listen to God. We listen to what God had to say, but we need to purify before that. One little seemingly trivial thing that I tuned into this week is Master recommending showering in the morning and before meditation. And he said it opens up the pores of the body. And as above, so below, opening the pores of the body allows us to be open to spirit. And he said, but it's not enough to just take a shower and go about your day, because your body will be pure for a little bit, and then the mind, comes back. So we have to purify the mind as well through meditation, putting ourselves again into a position to receive God's grace. And I think we'll tune in now to Master's poem. This is from Songs of the Soul. I think Master can end the talk. When I'm only a dream. I come, center. I come to tell you all of him, and the way to encase him in your bosom, and of the discipline that brings his grace. Those of you who have asked me to guide you to my beloved's presence, I warn you through my silently talking mind, or speak to you through a gentle, significant glance, or whisper to you through my love, or loudly dissuade you when you stray away from him. But when I shall become only a memory, or a mental image, or a silently speaking voice, when no earthly call will ever reveal my whereabouts in unplumbed space, when no shallow entreaty or stern stentorian command will bring from me an answer, I will smile in your mind when you are right, and when you are wrong, I will weep through my eyes, dimly peering at you in the dark, and weep through your eyes, perchance. And I will whisper to you through your conscience, and I will reason with you through your reason, and I will love all through your love. When you are able no longer to talk with me, read my whispers from eternity. Eternally through it I will talk to you. Unknown I will walk by your side and guard you with invisible arms. And as soon as you know my beloved and hear his voice in silence, you will know me again more tangibly than you knew me on the earth plane. And yet, when I am only a dream to you, I will come to remind you that you too are not but a dream of my heavenly beloved. And when you know you are a dream, as I know now, we will be ever awake in him. Om. Peace. Amen. Thank you, great souls.